Welcome to the Evolution of Aloha podcast with me, Dr. Jerry Rosa Tennell. Now let's talk story. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on the Evolution of Aloha podcast. Happy New Year. It's a welcome to 2025. And I am Jerry Rosa Tennell, and I am your host, and you are listening to the Evolution of Aloha podcast, a Plowline Media production. So it's such a pleasure to open this year's podcast with the amazing Olympia Edwards. She is the CEO of Project Girl Mentoring Program. She's a community leader and also the CEO and founder. Project Girl is an organization that is dedicated to empowering and inspiring young women to embrace their fullest potential. Combining her passion for empowering communities with her extensive experience in nonprofit capacity building, Olympia serves as a director of Community Coalition. In this role, she works to strengthen local organizations by fostering partnerships, providing resources, and advocating for equitable opportunities in Snohomish County. And with over 20 years of experience in mentorship, Olympia has guided countless young women on their journeys to confidence and success. She is also deeply involved in a philanthropic efforts through her impactful work with several community organizations that drive social equity and support underserved populations. So Olympia believes in the power of connection and collaboration to create lasting change. And beyond her professional work, she is a devoted wife and proud mom of two adventurous boys who enjoy exploring the world through climbing, jumping, and skating. In her downtime, she finds joy in cycling and nurturing her impressive collection of over 100 indoor plants. And we're going to be talking about that. So Olympia's mission is to inspire, guide, and foster meaningful change in the community that she serves. So before we get started, again, welcome to 2025 and the Evolution of Aloha podcast. I wanted to honor the land in which our feet stand. And I will begin by acknowledging that those of us who are gathering in the Pacific Northwest area, north of Seattle, we are on the ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish peoples who have lived in the Salish Sea Basin since time immemorial. We respect this place and honor the sacred spiritual connection to the land, water, and its people, past, present, and future. By acknowledging these lands and their original indigenous inhabitants, we reach back to our own indigeneity and reflect on the impacts of colonialism and the lands from which all our people come. So please join me in taking a moment to honor the land of the traditional people in the territory in which you stand. And today I lift my hands to the Tulalip and the Snohomish tribes and their allied bands for their enduring care and continuous protection of the land where we currently reside. So thank you so much for joining me today. Olympia, hi, welcome.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. So you do a lot of things in our community, and they're all so amazing. But I brought you on the podcast because I want to know about Project Girl. So can you tell us a little bit about Project Girl?
So Project Girl is a girls mentoring program that I created about 13 years ago. And I wanted a space where girls of color can kind of feel seen, heard, and loved. And I wanted us to be able to do activities that kind of spoke to them and made them feel like they had a space that was theirs in their own. And so what we do is that we have about 5 to 6 different programs where we go into schools and we go into community spaces. And then at the same time, we have our own community space where teens who just come and hang out. They get counseling if they need it. We play games if they want to play games. We do homework. We do tutoring. We do leadership development skills. And at the most, we just listen to them and get to know who they are at this particular time in their lives. One of my things I believe in is that like teens need spaces to feel where they can like let their hair down, they can like just be themselves without feeling like they have to like be anything else than a 14-year-old young woman or a 11-year-old person who's trying to figure out who they are in this society. And that's what Project Girl gets to do. We do a lot of projects, hence the name, but we do like really like things that maybe like that I've been inspired to in all my life. So like the plants, we do a lot of planting, we do a lot of coloring. And we also get them out. Like we get to experience things for the first time, like riding bikes. That's one of the things that actually ignited one of my passions that I had when I was younger. But a couple of years ago, I took a group of girls out to ride bikes for the first time. And some of them didn't know how to ride bikes. And I was like, wow, I love that. Let me tap back into that area of when I was younger. And so we get to have these first experiences with them. And that's what really Project Girl's all about.
Why did you start Project Girl?
Um, like I said, I had a dream when I was 15. I started Project Girl because I think I was in a space where I wanted something where girls could kind of feel seen. I think around 15, like my parents were going to divorce. Oh, they had went through divorce early, but like they were going to divorce, like fighting, going back and forth and the familiar stuff. I think like my family life was just a little bit different from what I saw in the community. And I didn't really feel like I had a space where I could just be around other teens and other adults and really just talk to them about whatever I was going through. And so really that was like the root of Project Girl. And so I remember writing a little notebook and I was like, I want to create a space where girls feel seen. And then I think I just kind of like pushed it to a side, but that's always been the core, all the jobs that I ever had of like having a space where girls feel seen. And so what I did is I just took that along my educational and my studies and my workforce history. Like I want a space where girls feel seen. And so when an opportunity came when we moved to Washington of like starting something of my very own, it brought it back. Like I want a space where girls feel seen. And so just having that same mission and same focus, probably where we're at right now.
That same passion. So it sounds like you've had that passion for a long time. Way to manifest it though. It's
Yeah.
like you having that passion and then putting action into it, even though you put it on the side. I think sometimes when we are so passionate about certain things, we may put it on the side, but there's something inside of us that just keeps pushing us forward and it'll pop up. And then when the opportunity arises, you're like, I'm supposed to be doing this all along. So that's amazing. That's amazing. So I know that you were talking about, having a space where these girls feel seen and, they can let their hair down and they just want to be themselves. And so many young women of color, they face these societal pressures to conform to certain standards or diminish their ambitions. So, how does Project Girl balance fostering authenticity while still encouraging the bold pursuit of their dreams? Kind of like what you just did.
So like I would say like what we do is that we listen to them. We listen to like what some of their goals are in life, some of the things that they want. And then we have case managers and we have counselors here to help them push that into the forefront of what they need. And then at the same time, I also tell them my story. Like one big thing I think is in our communities of colors are storytelling. So I tell them the story of how I dreamed of Project Girl when I was 15. And so whatever dream that they have, whatever ambition that they want to go through, like you can definitely do it. So if you want to be a hairstylist, you can go to school to be a hairstylist. These are what you need to do. If you want to be a marine biologist, this is what you need to do. So I think like it's very like organically of like them hearing who I am and some of the staff here saying like this is what we have wanted to do in our lives and this is how we're doing it and kind of like they get to see like wow these are people in my community, these are people who I look up to, these are my role models. um if they're doing this what they're passionate about and then I can go do what I have passion about, and I can go do that and kind of like really just envision what they see. Like,
So do you place or do you partner these young women with people who are already in the field that they want to be a part of?
if they ask me for that, I do try to do that. I also do it organically where I bring in people that I know in my community. So
Mm.
like one of our board members is a three board certified doctor in the community. And she's Black, she went to Stanford. So she actually comes in on a regular and get to know the teens. And then by it being organic, they know her. And so then they get to ask her questions and they get to see her. And so then some of them are always like, we want to be a doctor because we met Dr. Margaret. So like I try to, with teens is very tricky. I don't want to feel like we're like trying to set these matches up, but I bring in women of color who are doing amazing things and just kind of like hang out with them. Come paint with us. Maybe you're a fitness, a wellness person. Come hang out with us and get to know them and then let the organic connections happen that way.
Oh, that's so amazing, Olympia, because it's like you begin with relationship. In order for any of, these young women to even see themselves in these different positions, it starts with knowing them as an individual, these professionals as an individual. And so that's pretty powerful to be able to do that. And it's also we're all in community. And I feel that in order for us to co-create these cohesive communities, which is what Co3 Consulting stands for, co-creating these cohesive communities, it's not bringing our youth out to the individuals in the community. It's the individuals coming into your space with these young women to help inspire and mentor. And that's pretty amazing. That's some that's
Yeah. And then like even if it's an opportunity where like if some of them do have like facilities, like we have a friend of ours, I guess City Sweats. She actually heard about Project Girl through the internet and through Facebook, and she actually invited us to come. We had like 30 girls come to her space in Seattle and them doing like infrared sauna. And for them to kind of see that the fact that this is somebody who like we can go to, this is somebody in the community. And she's an amazing Black woman who started the first infrared organization here. So then to kind of see like the people who I'm connected to where they can come to them, but then at the same time we can go out and we can go that was like enjoy the luxuries of life that maybe teens don't have access to.
that's fun. So they can just be like all fancy and everything.
Yes.
No,
Yes, it's pretty amazing to kind of see because they were doing the infrared, and then the part of like City West, they had like a little tea and oranges, and they were just sitting there, and they was like, "We feel so good. This is so relaxing." These are 11-year-olds, and they was like, "We feel so relaxed and so zen," and then it was kind of like to me, I'm like, teens deserve that. Like
yes,
they deserve the luxuries of life to feel like they are like in the old days we say like they're all that in a bag of chips. Like they deserve that feeling at a young age. So you know that this is what my measurement is for joy. This is what my measurement is for like authenticity and feeling good about myself.
yes, yes. Because there's just so much pressure in today's world for our teenagers. And social media and everything on, it's like society tells our teenagers how they should be, how they should look, and they have a standard that is, and it's unrealistic standard that, these teenagers sometimes they feel like they need to upkeep or they're not like with everyone else. And I can see that. Have you noticed on how I know that a lot of times when we talk about social media, there's a negative and the positive parts of it. How do you talk to your girls about being responsible with social media and, just how it plays on their own self-esteem?
It's a hard line. I think teens have way more access than like we ever had when we were teenagers. And so like it's hard way of trying to navigate like how do they how they see themselves because they're so connected into the world. But one
Mhm.
thing we do try is that when we have our summer camps, when we have like a no cell phone, drop your cell phone in the basket, just be with us. Then we have moments where you could take pictures and try to engage with them in different like social media apps. But then one thing I personally do is that I actually go to the teens who I can see that might be struggling with body image or body stuff, and I'll say, "You're beautiful regardless of all the lashes, all the makeup and the hair and the nails. You're still beautiful. I still see you as a person." And sometimes I actually bring them to my office and it's just 15 minutes, 20 minutes of me just getting to know them and talking to them and just say like, wow, like you are an amazing person. Like you are so beautiful on the inside. I love who you are. I love how you show up for your friends. 'Cause sometimes it's that core stuff that they need to hear to kind of bring it out because of what social media kind of does, and we know for sure what it does. They need to hear it from a real life person. Like no matter what is going on in your life, you're still beautiful inside. You still are important, whatever your family may look like or whatever someone else has told you. And I think that's the beautiful part of Project Girl and having mentors that look like you is that they can hone in on you and they can tell you that exactly. Like over summer, we had this one teen who had the very like hair like my very what I say, like very kinky. And we're doing like a hair workshop. And she and my friend everybody said she told everybody she doesn't like her hair. She doesn't like who she was. And it was hard to hear. And then she was like, she started crying because she was like, I hate my hair is kinky, it's close to my head, it's not long, you're beautiful. And then we let it, I just help her process it. And then afterwards, I brought her in the office and I said, we have to talk about that. I was like, you got to love who you are from the root and the inside. And maybe that's stemming from other things going on in your life, but you got to love who you are. So, what I personally did was that I made it my mission to every few weeks just send her positive affirmations while she's at school and just saying, like, I love who you are. I see you. I hope you have a great day today. And that's going above and beyond of what I have time for, but just that right there is fueling her. And the other day she sent me a text and she said, I wore my hair out at school. Can you believe it? And then she sent me a picture and then she was like, it's finally growing. And then that part right there was the mentorship that we all need of like someone just not saying like, oh yeah, all that other stuff, yeah, you could do that, but just that over and saying you're beautiful regardless, like whatever your hair may look like. And that's what mentorship is for me, really.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So is it just girls of color that goes to that's part of this project?
The primary girls of color, but I always say like all girls are welcome because of the space is there for girls. All girls are welcome, but like when we think intentionally of who our community is particularly women of color, girls of color, really.
Can you share on why it's so important? Because I know we live here in Washington State, pretty progressive, but I know that there's individuals, it's like, wait a minute, Project Girl, my girl is a white girl. Why can't she go there? Can you explain why it's so important for girls of color to have their own space in your own words?
I think, in my own words, I would say that every day the mentees that we work with, they are in systems and in schools where sometimes they are the only person of color in that classroom. They're the only girl that might be have the interest in the math class. And sometimes that feeling, that pressure that they have to like perform and do, they might have to be the only like I would say like Black friend in that group or Latina friend in that group. And then sometimes it's hard. It's hard to walk around and wear that every single day. And so when they get to come to Project Girl and they see that it's a whole space for them, they get
Yes.
to shed that one little thing from them and just show up. So it's
Right.
like almost like to the point where like I know you don't know if the listeners know what code switch, but they don't have to code switch. So like
Yes.
they
Yes.
they wear their like we talk about nails, we might wear wigs, we talk about like we we with our Latina girls, they brought in Pozzoli. And like we just had a moment where we're just eating it and no one had to explain like what is in it, how long it
Right. Because
takes.
yes,
Yeah, it
we
was like we
navigate the world differently.
yes, we already know it. And just like having those real conversations where we do like an affirmation um mirror exercise where you're saying like, hey, I'm struggling today. And it's like we know what it feels like to have rough hair days. Or we know what it feels like where like maybe we forgot lotion and our skin does look a little ashy. But like it's saying like, hey, like we don't have to go to explain it. It's saying it's like, hey, we got some lotion. Or like just things that maybe happen in the community. Like a couple of years ago when we were working with like we had a group of girls like I would say like immigration was happening and like people and they were I was actually working with girls at the school and their parents were being deported while they were at school. We didn't have to really talk about the why of that feeling. They just knew that we were there. And the whole classroom was like all surrounded by this one youth when they found out that their parent got deported. And sometimes it's that. It's like not having to explain things that are sensitive to you and just doing and just having like your community just to know that you need this at the same time. And not saying that anybody can't can't show up for them, but sometimes it's a beauty in not having to say that I feel hurt about certain things and just people just saying like I know you're struggling today, like it's a hard day today.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like being this container, right? So in Hawaii, ahu is a bowl, it's a container. And, it also represents the opportunity for us, a space for us to be able to just show up and not have to really, like you were saying, not really have to say anything. I know when there's my girls and then there's my girls, right? When I'm with my girls, I can just show up. I can show up and I can explain. I don't have to explain why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling or anything like that. It's because they just know. They
Hmm.
just know. And I feel that it's so important for, teenagers to have that because, I mean, I grew up as a latchkey kid, right? It's like I just kind of like had my own thing, right? Both my parents were working and I kind of like survived on my own. And then
Yeah.
I had a place where I was able to just show up. And now that, living on the continent and not in Hawaii anymore, this thing is so funny. I always want to be able I think it's important to have those spaces. And so, besides, um, mentoring these girls and talking about um the uh the disparity, right? The breaking the cycles of disparity. So one of the questions I was going to ask you is, given the systemic challenges that young women of color face, some of them poverty, violence, disparities in education, what kind of tangible outcomes has Project Girl achieved to disrupt these cycles? And what are the barriers that you still grapple with? Because I know you said that you're in schools, right? And so
Hmm.
you're located, just so that way everyone knows where you are, you're located in Snohomish County in
Yeah.
Washington State.
Mhm.
And is it just Snohomish County that you serve, or
Our main, like we're 95% Snohomish County. We might get an extra 5% from other like Shoreline, or we might some of
like
the
King County?
yeah, King County area.
Hmm.
So yeah. One of the tangible outcomes I would say is that so we have a program called Level Up where we take like I was a strong 2.0 girl in high school. And so I remember not being able to apply for scholarships because my GPA wasn't as best as a 4.0s. So that right there stemmed the program of Level Up, where we are working with girls who are maybe they're 2.0, maybe they're 3.5, or they're 4.0 students GPA. And we're teaching them those soft skills that all of us needed before we go to college, before we graduate high school. We're teaching about financial literacy. We're teaching um, mental health. We're talking about their friends. We're talking about like understanding you don't have to always know what is next for you, but you got to have some type of game plan. Um, and so that's one way that we are doing something tangible where we're
Hmm.
trying to help them process like what's the next stage of life. And then on top of that, I'm also giving them stipends up to $1,000 so that they can take that stipend and they can actually move it to something bigger that they want to do. Like throughout the 3 to 4 years that this program's been running, we've had girls who take that stipend and they paid some of them got a computer for the first time for the first family. Some of them put that $1,000 and they were able to get a car so they could get transportation and go back and forth to work. Some of them took that money and they went and they paid their nursing license because they did the snow out program. So they took that money to do that. Some of them are paying entry fees to colleges, like different ones that they want to go to. Some of them are taking that money and maybe traveling and seeing the world for the first time. And so that right there is a tangible outcome for me because they're taking a program and they have to go to this program for like 6 to 7 months and they have to show up and they know, and it's, I would say 4 hours on a Saturday. So it's a commitment, but they're getting $1,000 to do whatever they want to do, as long as it better their lives. And that's something like, I can understand. Like they're going through the financial literacy, like I said, they're going through the mental health, they're going to like last week they met, they're talking about how do I sit down and have an interview with someone? What appropriate clothes do I need to wear? What do I need to do to become this person that I want to become? And so they're sitting down with teams, not teams, but they're sitting down with the program counselors here and really get to know them. And like we all know, like what team really wants to be up on a Saturday, really sitting down talking
Right.
to people, but they're doing it. And so they're building that their skill set and making their goals kind of known. And that's one thing, the same thing, like we also do like the violence prevention. So Snohomish County right now is getting hit heavily with violence things. I know that it's violence is usually all the way around us, but sometimes like on the evening times and the weekends, providing programs for teens to kind of be involved in, especially for girls, it's like it's allowing them to just maybe not be within the wrong crowd, you know, have that avenue of where they can kind of break the cycle, whatever else is happening in their life. So
Wow.
yeah.
So, and how long has Project Girl been around now?
13 years.
13 years. That's right. You did said that. How many lives? Do you keep account on how many
Yeah.
lives have you impacted?
I think we're at 2,560 something.
Wow.
And so each program has its own unique girls that we connect with. But it's for me it's even amazing to see over the past years because like being in this community, like I see them in the community doing different things. Like
Yes.
our first round of girls that we've had in our program, I actually hired one of our mentees. So she went to school and she actually was a program director here. And then she left and went to another another foundation, I would say, and worked there now. And so being able to see the transition of You start as a mentee, I meet you in high school. We'll support you through college. We stay connected. And then maybe like if there's a way that I can help you find a job. And then it's like seeing your whole life
Yeah.
pass. And that's what I get to see, kind of like see the transition of them being a girl into a woman. So
Yes. Yeah, that must be so satisfying. That's such an amazing feeling that you had a part of this young woman's life. I mean, it's like I feel that when we enter into each other's lives, when we enter into each other's lives, our life is a story. And it is so sacred when we have these moments where it's like, you just entered into my story. So now for the rest of my life, you're going to be part of my story. And the outcome that happens is because of what you did 13 years ago with me. And that is such an amazing thing. And I feel that that is such a sacred thing. It's like being able to share someone's life, and being there, being that container, that space for them to grow, to challenge themselves, and to have people, mentors, giving them having a positive role model in all of that. So what about the young men? Do you know of any other organizations?
I have been asked that question, I would say, for years, so many years. And I like I have two sons and they are 6 and 10. And like I'm looking for organizations like Project Girl for them to be a part of, where they can like do things and have fun. And a lot of people even ask me like, can I start a Project Boy? And I'm like, in my back of my head, I'd be like, good, but I'm like, but also take me away from what I know I'm passionate about. But I feel like there's nothing yet. And I'm hopeful that maybe 2025, 2026, someone will get that passion and they will start a program just for boys to kind of just let things hang out and really see that mentorship, especially in Snohomish County. I think um there's a couple organizations like surrounding us, like in Auburn or like Seattle, stuff like that. But like it would be amazing to kind of see programs just for young men and to kind of help them grow because I definitely think it's needed. I even offer like, hey, if people want help, I'm definitely will sit them down and talk about some of the things they could do because I think everyone deserves some type of mentorship and everyone deserve it in a way of like I would say it's rooted in excellence. Like I just told somebody that earlier. I was like Project Girl is rooted in excellence. Kind of what we do. And I was like, it makes seem like it's fun and it's games and it's very much is, but it's definitely rooted in excellence. So I would love to kind of share my knowledge to anybody that is willing to start something working with young people and
Yeah,
support.
exactly. Exactly. Because, it's like I know that there's a lot of programs out there for young men, and especially, young men who's been incarcerated. It would be great to have a program so that way we don't have to talk about our young men being incarcerated,
Mm.
right? Let's try not to get them to that place. How do we do that? And how do we also work with these young men? Because society has made it to where, when men show emotion, it's a sign of weakness. When they
Mhm.
ask for help, it's a sign of weakness. They're supposed to be the strong ones and they're not supposed to cry. And then it's like we look at some of the research that has done, today around that. And it's like, wow, we did this to our young boys. And so it would be great to have a program that would mirror yours. And then it's like the next generation will be amazing. Right. So yes. So if there's any people out there that want to work with the young men in our community, contact Olympia.
I would love to work
So,
with.
so one of the questions I wanted to ask too is, so in a world where young women of color are often confronted with a systemic oppression and the deep inequalities, the inequities, some of the things that you and I just spoke about, How do you teach them to embrace grace for both themselves and for others while navigating these harsh realities? Because we can be angry, right? And that's one of the things that one of the stereotypes for women of color is that, oh my gosh, you guys are always so angry. Rightfully so. We've got every right to be angry for some of the systemic inequities that we've faced in our lives. But if we meet that with anger, with hate, we're just going to be met with the same. So, how do you teach the girls to hold the duality of both grace and fire within themselves?
Um, this might be a little unique, but I do it in a way of like, what are their hobbies? What ways, like the world is going to, like, there's certain things that we can only change within our 3 foot wall. But what are your hobbies that bring you joy? What are the hobbies that fill your spirit? What are the hobbies that make you who you are? That is unique to you. And like, there's so many disparities in the world. Like, just off the back, when people of color are born, we have so many disparities right there. Like, you know it off the top. But like, as you get older, it's kind of like, what can I do internally to help me deal with some of the things that I have to deal with? I know one thing for me that I personally had to dive in, especially like the past year and a half, is like going back to my hobby of like my joys of coloring and realizing that I enjoy sitting with crayons and markers and drawing and coloring beautiful pictures. And that allowed me to really deal with the harsh realities of the world. Like when I'm out here and I'm having a difficult conversation with teens and like even with my own kids and like just the world in general, it's cutting everything off and coloring a coloring book and pouring that love back into me and really tapping back into who I am as a person, very colorful, very joyful. Because every day I think we go out and every day they're gonna face things. Every day is gonna have hard scenarios in life. But it's like when we stop and we think about what brings me joy, what can I can't change what's happening in this community, but what I can do is I could do something for myself. And so that's one thing that I've really kind of like lean on, even like my own team at Project Girl, I say like, what are your hobbies? What brings you joy? Because we know like you can't do this work forever. I think over the past 20 something years I've been in this field, that's my one saving thing is like this field is hard. Like social work, social anything with social and people, it gets down. Like I feel like we've been fighting the same fight over and over and over again, and every new day is a whole different scenario. Something else is going to get you down. So what are you going to deal with? How are you going to deal with that? Um, and to me, I've turned into coloring. I've turned to riding my bike. I've turned to playing with my plants. And that actually, has fueled me to continue on to do the things that really matter. And then I bring that to them. So like I said, we're very like hobby infused with different things. And I want them to say like you can color if you color through a hard math test, color through your parents' divorce, write journal through a breakup with your significant other. Figure out what do you need as a hobby to help deal with some of the things that the world is rolling because we can't do everything. So yeah.
So it's redirecting all of that. It's,
Hmm.
it's and that's such a beautiful way to do it is the redirection. Just listening to everything that you've shared. Um, I always think about for me, I always think about aloha, right? It's like being born and raised in Hawaii. Um, Aloha is the foundation of everything that we do. And aloha is about the reciprocity. It's about caring for one another. It's about caring for your fellow human being on this earth, and ensuring that when you leave this individual, you leave them better than when you first met them, right? However it is. And so it's like, again, going back to that story and being part of each other's story, because it's like we're sharing this moment, this time that that I feel is just so sacred. And as we are engaging in these conversations, like with the mentoring project, with you just speaking wisdom into these young women's lives, it makes me think about alo and ha. So alo is presence, and ha is the breath of life. So when we share aloha and we are mentoring individuals and we are sharing our wisdom through our words are transferred through breath. Breath signifies life. Life is sacred. So should our words in the presence of this other human beings. It also makes me think about it's like, so I wrote the guiding principles of aloha. And I wrote the guiding principles of aloha so that way we would engage in conversations. And sometimes the conversations can get very, very convoluted. It can be very complex. And so I broke the guiding principles of aloha into an acronym. So ask questions and inquire without making unnecessary assumptions. Even though we make assumptions all the time, it's how we understand the world, is what we do with it that's important. If you're going to ask questions, listen with the intention to understand without making any groundless judgment of the stories that you're hearing, that these mentees are coming in to share with you. The O is to observe that sensation in your body, because sometimes when you ask questions and you listen, you may not like what you hear. And so we stop listening. So watching a cortisol, being able to lean in with curiosity, to be resilient when we're hearing stories that could actually activate our somatic response. So always observing that. And the H is heart focus, to always come from this place of heart, caring, compassion, empathy, love. And then the final A is to adapt and acknowledge that, you know, everyone comes from different places. Their experiences are different as well too. What you've experienced may not be the same as someone else. Sometimes it may sound the same, but it's really not the same. Right? So be able to adapt and acknowledge. And so everything that you've shared, when you and I first started talking, when we were at the community foundations, and I was listening to the things that you were saying about Project Girl and everything that you shared today. Oh my gosh, Olympia, that's the epitome of aloha.
Mm.
That is the foundation of aloha. What you share with our community, how you just share this wisdom and this knowledge with these young women, and then seeing it reciprocated because they're working in their community. That's huge. So it's like I just wanted to meet with you, and I wanted everybody else that's listening to this podcast to know exactly what is Project Girl mentoring program, and how can people help you? How can they find you? What are some of the things that we as a community can do for you?
Well, we are on social media, Facebook, Project Girl Mentoring Program. We're on Instagram, Project Girl Mentoring, LinkedIn, um, and YouTube as well. Our website, we always welcome donations on our website is project-girl.org. And not just donations, I always say like invest into the future of girls, invest into what they're doing. Um, you know, maybe even it's like they want to do more, and it was like maybe I want to get involved more. Maybe I want to become a mentor. Maybe I want to come to some of the programs and donate my time. That's very invaluable. Um, so yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how do you become a mentor? What does that take? Because I know that everybody's like, we're all busy. So
Mhm.
what does it take? What's the commitment and how do we do that?
To become a mentor is very like I tailor it off of what needs that you have, and what skill sets that you have to offer. We'll go from there. So like it could be a mentor versus like maybe during the summertime is a little bit easier for you. You can come and maybe hang out with us for an hour or 2 hours, or if you want to do a full week with us, you can do it that. Even during a school day is maybe it's coming after school for maybe an hour after work, coming hanging out. What I do is that we do a background check. We make sure that everything is like you can hang out with kids and do what you got to do. And then it's really like you tell me what's your lifestyle look like? What can you offer from there? We have some mentors in the past that said, well, I don't have time to actually like hang out all the time, but maybe I could just donate a meal. And so they just want to cook, they cook food and they bring it to us from there. So it's really kind of like what you have. And I really try to be flexible. Like I totally understand that people have amazing lives that they're leading and amazing jobs they're doing. So being flexible with whatever they have to offer.
That's great. So what kind of just top of your head, like what do you look for in a mentor beside their skills?
I look for someone who really likes to hang out with teens, someone who doesn't mind like teens being themselves and doing TikTok videos or teens wanting to like talk. I also I look and see someone who's engaging with them and maybe just want to like, maybe I don't have to know everything about them, but I just want to see them and get to know them. We've had different style of mentors. Like we had mentors who said like, I have my hairstyling such as cosmetology. I just want to show them how to take care of their hair and do stuff like that. So every mentor, I would say, and this is where one thing I'm passionate about also is like I meet the needs of the mentors. Like what needs that you have that maybe you want to give back, and I try to adapt it to what it may be, with the things that I can do. So no men any mentor is great as long as you can pass a background check. And I would say that you doesn't mind working with girls of color. This is your perfect place, really.
Hmm. Okay. Have you heard of the conference Yell, YELL?
Yes, I have. We spoke at
Young
it a
and
couple years ago.
Oh, okay. So did I. So did I. So
Okay.
yeah, it's like I haven't done it in the past two years, but yeah, I used to go there all the time every year on Young Empowered Ladies Leading. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
And we're actually putting on our second conference this year. It's gonna be, I don't know the exact date, but I think it's gonna be March 18th is the exact date. March 18th, we're gonna be hosting 50 to 75 girls at the Verde Health Community Center, and really like just doing something fun with them and really kind of like doing like a full conference day with them, which is kind of cool, especially in this area, like them having something where they can look forward to and go to.
Mm, yeah, that sounds awesome. I want to go to that conference. I'm gonna have to like hit you up on that.
Oh, yeah, yes, yes. It'll be on our website
Okay.
soon, though.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see it. And I have like, I have so many people, women of color that I know that is like, oh my gosh, I think they would be great mentors. And so I'm going to have to tell them about you. Especially, it's like I have an individual, have you heard of Nafasi Farrow?
Mm-mm.
She does things on financial literacy. And
Okay.
she takes it way back. She talks about the colonization of money. So she's,
Um,
I mean, she has this whole entire program thing. So I'm gonna have to like put you in touch with her. So yeah, this has been so enlightening, and I am so happy that I share the same community with you, Olympia, and not just Snohomish, but we're also both part of Community Foundation Snohomish County. And so, this shows on, it's like how much we love our community, how much we believe in our community. And I feel that when we are able to work together and bring out the best in everyone, that's how we co-create better
Yeah.
communities. We do it
Yes, that is true.
together. We do it together. And so everyone can find you on social media. They can find you at project-girl.com.
Hmm.
Okay. And then LinkedIn. And so all of the media sites, they'd be able to, they'd be able to find you.
Yes.
Just dropped my ear pod. Hold on. Oh. Okay, so if anyone is interested in becoming a mentor or a sponsor, I'll have all of the information on the website as well too, so people are able to find you. And before we close, is there anything else that you want our community to know, Olympia?
Um, it was something when you were talking about Aloha, I think, is that we're all connected and that we all need each other. And so that's the one thing that I was going to share at the very end of like, remember that we're all connected, we all need each other, and that this world is better because of we have each other. And so,
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I was just kind of going through some of my notes and, sharing on um, a Hawaiian indigenous perspective on the principles on how we are in community. And so the first principle is kuleana, our responsibility to each other and to ourselves. That responsibility also transfers to how we care for our land and each other, right? The next one is pono, is harmony, to always be in harmony with each other. We may have our differences, we may not agree with one another, and it's okay. That's where we can grow with each other. Just because we don't agree with each other, that doesn't mean we have to hate on one another, right?
right.
uh Lokahi is fostering unity and collaboration within your communities, so just bringing it together. And then pilina, which is the connection, and so always building that relational trust. So kuleana, responsibility; pono, balance, aligning action with values and integrity; lokahi, harmony, fostering unity and collaboration within our communities; and then pilina, building relational trust. It sounds so simple. It
Mhm.
sounds, it sounds so simple. And it can be. It can be if we're able to understand the guiding principles of aloha. If you're curious about something, don't judge it from afar. Ask questions. And if you're going to
Mhm.
ask questions, listen. And don't just listen, actively listen. Sometimes we listen so then that way we can reply, not because we're really listening. So always observing ourselves, observing our somatic response, coming from this place of heart, and to always to adapt and acknowledge. And yeah, that's what you've been doing,
Yes.
Olympia.
Good,
You've been
thank
doing
you.
that. And thank you so much for showing us and also modeling what aloha looks like in our community. And so it's been such an honor to be with you today. Thank you for sharing this time with me. And yes, you can find more information about Project Girl Mentoring by visiting their website at project-girl.com. So you've been listening to the Evolution of Aloha podcast, a Plowline Media production. So tune in for upcoming episodes with other amazing people. And don't forget to subscribe to the Evolution of Aloha, a Plowline and Plowline podcast. It's available on all of your popular podcast platforms. And to help continue this work, become a supporter and head over to patreon.com/Plowline Productions. So until next time, please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and always aloha, everyone, and mahalo. Thank you so much, Olympia, for being here.